Hello, wonderful friends, and thank you for joining me yet again for the Africam Show this afternoon. I'm so happy to be with you. It's me, Trishana, and you are now looking at our lovely camp here at Tau and the Grey Heron. There's a number of other birds around too. I see some Egyptian geese, some white-faced whistling ducks, and something swimming along there too. Probably another Egyptian goose or... But anyway, live and interactive, everybody. I'm very excited to be with you. So send me your questions and your comments. I love hearing from you. We have half an hour together to explore the camps that we have across South Africa and see what animals come to visit them. I love watching animals and wildlife in this way because you just see them as they are. You're not physically there. So it's almost, in a strange way, being like Big Brother. You just kind of, you see them doing whatever they would do if they were by themselves. Or at least we think so. Anyway, let's get through some hellos. We've got Suki V in the UK says, afternoon to all. In my hospital bed telling others what is going on. Oh, Suki V, I'm so glad that you're helping in a way your friends at the hospital too, telling everybody what you're watching, and I hope that you're doing well, and thank you for joining us this week as well. I think there's nothing better than a bit of nature and a bit of escape, especially if you have to be stuck in hospital. But we're sending you our best wishes, Suki V. I hope that you join us every week, and I would love to see your name every Tuesday and every Thursday. Because seeing your name here lets me know that you're doing well and you're watching just still. So I'm very glad. And hello to all your friends at the hospital too, Suki. And then we've got Aussie Jan, of course, just making some coffee. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Aussie Jan. Andy says, hello, everyone. I don't think the critters got the announcement that there's a show today. Oh, Andy, I think everybody's just so tired from Halloween. All the animals must have been dressing up. Impalas dressing up like leopards and buffalo dressing up like lions. John says, howdy everyone from a sunny Florida. Amber Co says, happy Tuesday everyone. Thank you for doing this show. Thank you for watching, Amber. Always a pleasure to have you on board. Gemma says, good day all. Happy November. Happy November, Gemma. Ready for the show, mug of tea in hand. We've got May Blossom joining us today. Hi, May Blossom. Thank you so much for coming on. Say greetings. Zygote says, hi, Trishana. Mindy Tillapow says, good morning, Trishana. Looking forward to your wonderful insights. Oh, thank you. Well, I think that we're going to have a couple critters around for some insights to come out. I see some Nyala around the back there, top right of your screen. Busy grazing, things are looking lovely and green. Lots of water around, which is going to be fantastic for the animals. Siko says, hi Trishana, have a good show. Oh, thank you, Siko. I hope that you will enjoy it too. And then Dear NC says, good morning from Seattle. Rolling Trouble, of course, says, hi Trish from Washington. Hi Rolling Trouble, thank you again for joining us. Lisa White says, good afternoon Trishana, with an exclamation mark. Yes, I hope your week has been nice. Thanks for joining. It has been fantastic. Thank you. It's been a very busy week. We have just today moved into a new place. So very excited. It's been a very busy day of cleaning and moving and all of that. But I still find some space to spend with all of you and of course the African bush. It's kind of my little getaway as well. Becky says, good day from West Virginia. Mary Momo says, hello and to all from Hot Springs, Arkansas. Hoping some critters show up today. Yeah, Mary Momo, I'm also hoping some critters show up today. But all it takes is a little bit of patience. In fact, when the cams are not very active, like they are right now, it's a very good reflection of what it's like, because people can go out on safari and visit wild spaces in general. We often assume that we're going to be seeing really high-profile animals. And if we don't, we kind of get disappointed, and we haven't really managed our expectations. But the truth of the matter is that it takes a lot of, not just a good amount of luck to see animals. And in many of the reserves, we don't know where animals are. We have to spend time tracking and looking out for them, using all our bush knowledge and our senses to find animals. Sometimes, and it can, there's a bit of pressure as a guide, obviously, to find animals. Oh, what do we have here? And it looked like an insect fight. And I do love an insect fight. Recently saw 2 wasps fighting. It was quite a sight. So whatever these are scurrying across the rocks, I have no idea what it could be. And when we zoom in, it's not very clear, but they look pretty flat. What could be living on rocks and are flat? I'm assuming it was an insect just from the way that its body was kind of lifted and the shape. Maybe these are some kind of lizard or gecko, and I'm just not seeing the rest of the body. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll hopefully figure it out. Karen Smith says hello from Massachusetts. Michael S says good morning from North Carolina. Everyone got my coffee is a Pepsi. So you've got a Pepsi instead of coffee. I think I've said it to you as well previously, Michael. I can have coffee and not much happens, but I could have a Coke or a Pepsi and suddenly I'm bouncing off the walls. Probably all that sugar. Belinda DeSinger says, hi, Trishala. Hi, Belinda. Cindy Drake says, so green. Yes, it is really, really green. And it's truly wonderful to see. When you spend a lot of time in wild spaces and in the bush especially, and you see, at first you get very excited about seeing the animals, and then the large animals, high profile animals, and then the small animals, and then you start to notice different things about the environment, the way that the amounts of water changes, how the amount of water changes the behaviors or your sightings. And then you get to know specific trees, this tree at this junction. And you get to know that tree through the year and the way it changes. And when summer comes along and we've had all this wonderful rain, it's like seeing a family member in great health. I wonder if you're shouting. Okay, now we've got a kind of a better look. Now, earlier, I said to the others that I hope that all the creepy animals for post-Halloween Africam show. And I guess this is the creepiest, or the crawliest rather, that we're going to get. Now, I don't feel bad about using the word creepy, because around Halloween, I do feel creepy. In fact, not just around Halloween. In general, my interests can be considered a little creepy by some people. And on Halloween, I can ashamedly display my slightly macabre side. I have no idea what those were scurrying along those rocks. It could be any amount of animals, but we're all keeping any amount of insects, arthropods rather. But we must keep in mind that this is a pretty high altitude. It's up on the rocks. It have to be something quite hardy. Oh, Zygot, you said the birds are quiet today. I thought you were going to tell me something interesting is calling. You say the birds are quiet today. Tammy says, hello, Trishana and everyone. Suzanne says, hi from Michigan. Oh, I made blossom. You say, here's a virtual broom as a housewarming gift. Thank you so much. Because obviously we were doing a lot of household cleaning shopping, and I didn't get a broom. I forgot about a broom. So much appreciated. We would like to. In fact, this is a great. Since the cams are pretty quiet, if any random questions you've ever had about the bush or anything at all, please send them through. And then if anything interesting comes up in the cams, we can obviously discuss that too. But if there's any burning questions you have, just send them through. Like May Blossom has asked, is there a tradition for a new home reserve? Not me particularly. Although one thing we will do is we'll usually light a lamp or a candle. Have a lamp as a kind of a. Oh, there's some jacanas. As a kind of like a cleansing or a blessing for the space, rather. But we will do that tomorrow once we are done cleaning. Still haven't technically spent a night there yet, but we're getting there. All right, we have some jacanas. I can tell that they're jacanas because of their legs. Quite long legs. What is that? Oh, it is what I saw. Which, or I seems difficult to tell because coots also have that shape of the leg. The red-knobbed coot. Oh, here we have some Egyptian geese and some good old black ducks, African black ducks. Zygote says the rain has shut them down, I guess. Talking about the birds, of course, there. It's actually a very interesting point. Birds will prefer to call at times when the air is most clear and most cool. And that's because that allows them to travel further. If you imagine the air is an actual material, which it is, it's not empty, it's not a vacuum, that is filled with air, so the molecules there. And rain is a disruption to that. So every time sounding a bird's mouth, it's hitting little droplets as it goes. And that's also a reason why when there's a storm coming and the air is full of water vapor that is getting ready to condense and come down as rain, there's fewer bird calls as well. And one of the ways that, at least for me, and if you think about it, it makes sense, one of the ways where that I'm able to tell that, oh, it's starting to clear up, or this maybe there's a bit of a break in the rain and you're not sure if it's going to not. As soon as I hear birds starting to call again, then I think to myself, okay, looks like it's clearing up. Being sort of enmeshed in a positive way in the world around us, the environment, really help us to navigate our existence in the most simple ways, like figuring out if it's going to stay clear or not, to our survival in it. I think one of the things I've bet about a guide and somebody who has spent a lot of time learning about the natural world. It's this time of my favorite bit of it is when your knowledge doesn't exist in isolation anymore. It's not something that you can rattle off that you've remembered. It becomes part of your existence. Green McArthur says good morning. My wind was quite windy there, so the wind is blowing. I didn't know. Cindy Drake says nice rock. Yeah, those were some great rocks. And Zygote, you were right. That is the black eagle cam that we were looking at when we were trying to figure out what those little things scurrying about was. Kathy Barton, you say Mountain Dew trumps coffee any day. I love myself a Mountain Dew as well. I really do. Oh, thank you, Zygote. You said that those were spur-winged, or what we're looking at now is actually spur-winged goose. See, I went for the red on the. See, there's two that are lying down there, and then the larger one, the one that's closest to us, has some red on its bill. If it weren't for that, I would have stayed with an African black duck. And I also saw them quite recently, so they were in my head. I just saw the black body. But thank you so much for that, because oftentimes we go with whatever it is at first, particularly, if it's an black duck, you're going to go with that first. But you are absolutely a spur-winged goose. And then we've got some guinea fowl at the back as well. This is a really nice time for animals that prefer to eat grass or small insects to be milling about. That's because it obviously has been raining. And that's a good time for beaks to get nice and quite far into the soil, even if they're not particularly adapted for it. They can really pick up some good seeds and some protein with any arthropods as well, a lot more easily. Psycho just say even the Egyptian goose are quiet, or is quiet. That's yeah, that should tell us something, right? I think I get your in the background here. There we go. Oh, you said when I first started on Africa years ago, there were no elephant holes at Tembe. Are they ever filled in? Just wondering why they weren't there before. I think let's have a look at it. Then we can make a more informed decision on what they are and whether they're filled in. It's unlikely, in general, if they'll ever be, if something is made by an animal, that they would be paired. Okay, so we're talking about these, I assume. These. It's actually quite interesting that you brought that up, if that is indeed what you're talking about. That is the beginning of essential dam. It's well, not a man-made dam. It's the beginning of a waterhole. That's a better way to put it. So there is actually a way that waterholes develop, and kind of there's a method to it. So a waterhole starts by just being a small depression in the ground. This is an area where an elephant has stepped or kicked up some of the earth, and then it starts to fill up with water. And now because an elephant's foot, is pretty large, it starts with smaller animals. Birds come to bathe in this water. Maybe a water rolls around in it. And then that really little hole that's maybe the size of a dinner plate, for, medium, small sized elephant, that now starts to get a little bit larger. And then a slightly larger animal than a warthog comes through. Maybe even a baby elephant comes through and starts splashing around in that little depression, starts mud bathing, and then that hole gets larger and larger and larger, and then it eventually becomes enough for a large herbivore like an elephant or like a buffalo to sit in. And then the more it gets used in that way, the larger and larger it gets and collects more water. And essentially, that keeps on happening until it becomes a waterhole. And those little ones that we saw next to the big waterhole, the larger they get, that may all link up to become one large waterhole. So no, they won't get filled up, Mary Momo. They are part of this succession, this development of waterholes in natural areas. It's quite cool when you think about how so many animals of different sizes would have contributed to the development of waterholes in that way. Natural ones, that is. These Nyala look so relaxed. I saw a young male earlier. This is a female. And I'm sure there would be some young calves as well, because horses are abundant. So perhaps some on the way, or some that have already dropped. I was in the Eastern Cape last month and I saw lots and lots of little lambs around. Now, not all antelope have a particular breeding season. For example, impalas have a very precise time of the year. The rut happens and everybody influences each other, and it's triggered by the change in light or sunlight. That kind of change triggers a hormonal change that triggers the animal to feel like it wants to mate, and then the rutting season begins. It's a very specific mechanism that happens in terms of impalas and their mating season. But not all antelope are like that, and certainly not all animals. The main thing that an animal cares about is whether there are enough resources. And it doesn't, take a seat in one of these little dugout elephant holes that are going to become a water hole at one point. It doesn't take a seat in it and decides, will there be enough leaves by the time my baby comes? What I mean when I say that this animal figures out when resources are going to be most abundant, or if resources are most abundant, that happens internally, chemically, with signals. So there's certain types of molecules that rise and fall depending on the nutrient profile of that animal, whether it's in good shape or whether there's some kind of deficiency. But I don't mean deficiency as in they have an iron deficiency. It's not like that. It's just, is it getting the amount of nutrients that it needs to function? And is it getting the right amount of nutrients? Has it reached some sort of level where it could carry a lamb or its young? So one of these molecules is called mTOR, and mTOR rises and falls depending on the kind of the nutrient quality within the animal. So for example, in animals that hibernate, or in very resource poor areas, or if they experience drought, for example, mTOR goes down. And so if the amount of mTOR becomes less and less, then certain other pathways will stop happening. Certain types of development might pause while the animal gathers everything it has nutritionally and biologically and focuses on survival. Oh, look at this young guy. I love when they look like this because they're just starting to. I mean, this one is looking pretty good, I must say. He's just got a few more months till he reaches full male adult um, coat. But when they're just in between, because remember that male nyalas, when they're very young, they still look like females. And then when they just start to get that charcoaly color to them and start to get a little bit shaggy, it's very funny. I think it's very, very cute. Kathy Barton, you say cool. Another reason I love you, Trishana, if I ever get to meet you, we'll go out for a Mountain Dew. Absolutely. And it's got to be, what do you call it? One where you can refill. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, hello, you. Some rock hyraxes. Just chilling. Oh, aren't they just so cute? They could be a Halloween animal, I think. But Kathy Barton, certainly will go for a Mountain Dew that we can refill. Bob from Kalamazoo, you made it, Bob. You say hi, Drushala. Cindy Drake, you said you've only seen Ellie bulls at Tembe, no breeding herds. Ellie bulls can still cause those holes as long as there is a large selection of sizes in the area of animals, then those holes will form. And if they're big bulls, they're probably going to form quicker because as soon as a bull finds an area where it can kick up a little bit of mud, it will. Michael S., you say it must take a while to make a big hole. Oh yes, we're talking a very, very long time. Hundreds of years. But it does happen. In areas where there's a high animal density, those holes will get big to make a waterhole size just over a couple of years, a couple tens of years, even within 10 years. I mean, in the reserve that I work at sometimes, been there for 4 years, and I've seen holes get bigger and bigger and bigger. But certainly, I wouldn't call it a waterhole, but certainly, I've seen it get bigger and bigger. Zygote, well done. You say, yay, I heard a brown-hooded kingfisher. It's happened. Thank you, Zygote. Oh, over here it seems quite windy. I can hear the wind very clearly. Goose in the bottom left corner looking very camouflaged. Things are very quiet at the camps. And there's one thing I want to mention, and it's something that we have to kind of deal with, deal with that has some sort of negative connotation. Certainly a characteristic of the wet season is fewer predictable sightings at waterholes. And you know that our camps are strategically placed at waterholes because those are areas that are frequented by animals. And it means that both during the summer, when it's wet, and the winter when it's dry, we are likely to see animals. But particularly in the winter when it's dry, waterholes are the best place to sit. All things will come through there because everyone wants to drink and only water source left. But in the summer and in the winter is when we're going to get the sightings that we see here because there's so much traffic of animals. But in the summer, because of these little holes that I was telling you about, and other holes and any little depression, even tire tracks. All of those things start to get filled up with water. And animals don't come through to specific dams and water holes anymore. So be distributed all over the place, and sightings far less predictable. And I think that's what we're seeing. But next, so we're looking at these spur-winged geese. Well, there are about 4 of them. We saw some red-knobbed coot. We saw some nyala, grey heron, and we saw some dussies or rock hyraxes, and of course some little creepy crawlies around as well. So I think that it's fairly successful. Anyway, one last comment before we go. You say, thank you, Africam. This is from Belinda. Thank you, Africam. Happy moving to Charlotte. Thank you for your time. Enjoy, everyone. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. I certainly will be happily moving and busily. And I'm so glad that I was able to carve out this time for all of you and for me to spend with you. Thank you for joining us and your comments, but it's time to say goodbye. So keep on watching the cams, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.